What's going on, everybody? Welcome on into another episode of Play by Play with JJ. My name is Jason Joseph. Okay, this is going to be a little bit different. All right, so tonight we're going to be finally starting to talk a little bit about the Patriots because there have been a whole lot of news, and I've been, missing out on a lot of podcasts and stuff like that because let's be honest, like I've been like really busy, and I've just been trying to get used to this whole uh, being a content creator and doing play by play and figuring out like when would be a good time to talk about the Patriots. And there never really does seem to be like a good time to just dedicate some time. And finally, I had my own time here, and I just wanted to come on here. And I don't know how I'm gonna break this down. I don't know how I'm gonna start things off or where this is gonna go into. I'm gonna be completely honest with you right now. I had a set plan of like what I wanted to talk about first, but I might get a little bit off topic because that is kind of like what I do. But first of all, first things first, okay? So if you're new to my channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell icon too, so that way you know when I either go live and I do a podcast or if I call a game for the Sixers, for the Patriots, or for the Phillies. Um, yeah, so with that being said, enjoy the show. All right, so I don't really know how I'm gonna go into this, but it has just been if I were to describe to you in one word about how this Patriots offseason has gone, I'm going to tell you right now the word that I would use to describe the offseason is fluctuant. Lots of highs, lots of lows. Okay. I can get by what they did in free agency and I can get behind all of that. But with that being said, while they did address some things so far, and look, there still is plenty of time left to go before the regular season starts. We're not even like towards the draft just yet. But while I can support what they've been doing in free agency so far, boosting the offensive line, right? Going out there to get a wide receiver in Juju Smith Schuster on not such a big contract, getting Mike Gesicki as a tight end, okay? Adding some people to the defense. While I can support those things, the main issues are still intact here. And what I mean by that is that at the helm of everything, right? We have questions about the quarterback and the guy that is at the helm of the ship. And you guessed it, it's Mac Jones. Okay. Lots of questions about what his future is going to be like, and how things are going to go for him. Also, like some really interesting things that I kind of like wanted to get into in regards to Bill Belichick and all that type of stuff, and like what he had to say in the press conference yesterday, along with Robert Kraft. But let's start things off, and let's just talk about free agency. Okay, so first of all, you knew that James Ferentz was going to come back. Okay, so we'll talk about the offensive line first. Okay, so I think that this is a good move for them because look, he's not like much of a star. He's not a starting guy like in the offensive line, but he's good in the interior, right? He's a leader, and that's the one thing I really like about him. And also, he's just the type of guy that is just like really good for the locker room, and he can, um, he's like very versatile. He understands the system, right? He's been here a lot of times before. It's only a 1 year, $1.1 million contract, and he's only guaranteed $200,000. Okay, they didn't really make like big splashy moves on the offensive line, but I think that bringing in Riley Reef from Chicago was a good move too. Okay, Trent Brown obviously is going to be playing over at left tackle. This guy, though, can play right tackle or left tackle. So he's another guy that's also really versatile, and they didn't really have to pay a whole lot of money to get him either. So while, yes, the stats don't pop out, and like, like when you look at the sacks that he allowed, okay, like all those things like don't necessarily scream success. It's the fact that they got more depth behind Andrews and behind the people that are inside the interior that are a part of the starting unit. They got a little bit more versatile in the offensive line department. Okay. Should they go out there and draft somebody as an offensive tackle? I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think that that's something that they actually absolutely could benefit from if they were to go out there and get somebody to help out with the interior. But I don't know. I think that getting Riley Reef, bringing back Yanni Kajusti, and bringing also back James Ferentz, right? Like those aren't eye popping moves, and you're not necessarily going to see a whole lot of things from the stat sheet, but they do make an impact, and they're going to actually help protect the quarterback a lot more. And look, if like God forbid, if Trent Brown goes down, okay, James Ferentz can like bounce in for like a couple of games, but you need to go get somebody else. Like I'm not telling you that Ferentz is going to be this like game changing type of a guy in the interior where he's just going to like I don't know, like have these like monster type of numbers because yeah, like you need someone that's really stable and somebody that can, help Mac Jones out. But if he's just there for like some games and he doesn't really, and he's there for like a couple of snaps, like per game, and you put him in certain situations, there's something to be said about that. And there's also something to be said about somebody that's also very versatile that can play left tackle, right tackle, and has like, has played like a lot of different types of positions. And I think that that is what makes him really valuable. And he's only guaranteed, like I said, $200,000 out of his $1.1 million contract. So it's not like that they're even going to be giving him a lot. So I liked what they've been doing with the offensive line. Okay, Calvin Anderson. You can look at the stats. This is a guy that wasn't necessarily so good at block protection or anything like that, but I do think that he's still really young. He's 26 years old now. He has a 3-year deal coming, and I think that he's somebody else that can honestly, has a lot of upside. And I think that he can be somebody that I'm not telling you that he's going to be the stud, but he has a lot more upside, in my opinion, compared to the downside. And I don't understand like what all the critiques are about him. I've been seeing a lot of things on Twitter, and all that types of stuff. But yeah, so overall, they've been doing what they've had to do, like with the offensive line. Nothing eye popping, nothing sexy, like when you look at the stats and all of that. But they're going to give Matt Jones more protection or whoever's going to be the quarterback. It could be Bailey or it could be this other guy that we'll talk about in just a little bit. Okay, so let's obviously talk about the bigger splashes, right? So the wide receiver game, obviously, you had to let go of Jacoby and he went to the Raiders. And look, like, am I going to miss Jacoby Myers? Sure. But Jacoby had his own flaws. You know what I'm saying? And in the slot, and there were certain positions or certain times like where he would just drop catches and Mac would find him and he would just like he was good with the long ball, but sometimes like in special moments and stuff, like he just could not be that number one type of a receiver. And he never like lived up to those expectations. And you needed a quarterback that could, compensate with what his skills were. And I don't think that it was in New England. Okay, I like Devontae Parker. I think he'll have a better year. I really like Kendrick Bourne. I think he has a lot of upside in that he's only going to go up this year. I'd like to see him a little bit more in the slot and see what he can do, to try to make plays like after the yards or sorry, after the catch and all that sort of stuff. But Juju Smith Schuster, you only paid him, he's only getting like $9 million and 4.5 of that is guaranteed. So like when I first like looked at the transaction and all that, I was a little bit disappointed. But then, I was literally sitting back and I was realizing, okay, this is a guy that obviously is not the same guy that he was in Pittsburgh, right? He was that third tier guy in Kansas City where Travis Kelce was obviously your number one option. And and I think Marquez Valdez Scantling was another top option for them, but some people go back and forth between the both of them. But I really think that he is in a good position now. He's in a prove it type of a season, and he can be somebody that is going to be utilized a lot. And I know this for a fact. He's going to be utilized so much on third downs and even on like long second downs too. So I thought that that was actually for the money's sake, like, that was a really good signing, and he's somebody that can obviously, um, bring a lot of pressure, and cornerbacks are gonna have to be able to look out for him, and he might be a better fit with Mac Jones or whoever the new quarterback's gonna be for the future. So, I thought that was a good pickup. I also think Mike Gesicki, I liked it. Okay, I don't have anything. I'm not upset about anything with Mike Gesicki. Okay, I know that he's not a good blocker, but you look at the Miami stats from last season. Okay, they were down, but the thing is that in the red zone, right? He's been so dominant over the last like 3 or 4 years or so, like in the red zone, and when he's utilized correctly, and I think that Belichick and Bill O'Brien are going to try to utilize him a little bit more properly compared to what they were doing in Miami. I think that he has a lot of upside too. And for him, this is also a prove it type of a season for him. So I liked that move. Obviously, you get rid of Jonnu Smith and you get a seventh rounder for him. That is really impressive. I got to tip my cap to Belichick for doing that. And the defense obviously has continued to get better. Look, you lost Damian Harris, but you get James Robinson, who I also really like. I don't know how he's going to be, after the. I know that he had the ACL injury a couple of years ago. I think that all these types of moves are great, and that they do help the team. But with that being said, they're still ignoring the fact what their main problems are, and the main problem is when you listen to the press conferences from Robert Kraft and from Bill Belichick yesterday, nobody is on the same page. Okay. When they were talking about the quarterbacks, right? It's anybody's role. Last year, at this time, Mac Jones was the definitive guy. Okay. And if you're Bill Belichick, okay, I've criticized Mac Jones on so many occasions, right? I've said to a lot of people that he has to be in the pocket. He has to have good protection in order for him to succeed because when he's running and he goes out of the pocket, he's put in the position to fail because he's not so good on the run. He's not so good when the pressure is coming and when the blitz is coming and he has to figure out what he has to do. He needs good protection. And he also could use better weapons too, but I'm going to back him up here because while, yes, you had a lot of cooks in the kitchen too with the coaching staff with Matt Patricia, right? And Judge as well. You have to try to do everything that you possibly can to get better yourself. And with all the reports that came out last year. Wait, I lost my train of thought because this is talking about him. Sorry. This is what I wanted to say. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to defend Mac here because when it comes to Bill Belichick, right? You got to make a decision. Are you going with the young kid, right? Are you sticking with Mac or are you going to go into another direction? I can sit by you if you just say to yourself, okay, we're going to stick with Mac Jones, even though we don't know how he's fully going to be. We'll try to get him DeAndre Hopkins or Jerry Jeudy or something like that, another top receiver. I just think that they haven't gone for those top receivers yet because mainly they don't know if he is the guy or not. But then with that being said, and now we're leading into this whole Lamar Jackson thing. If Lamar is available, which he is, right? He's not a free agent, but he is available. Do you want him or not? Because you can get him. You have a lot of draft picks this year. And in all honesty, this is why you build up draft picks. Because once in a generation type of talents don't come by so often. And you have to do everything that you possibly can to go after them. The one thing that I really did not like from Bill Belichick yesterday is that he acknowledged, while yes, he acknowledged that Rob Gronkowski, Lawrence Taylor, and Tom Brady were like the best players that he coached, like at all those positions. Don't you also have to acknowledge the fact that it's not just about you, it's about the team. And while you try to like go out there and get these guys that can fit your system, just be straightforward with the media and just say, we don't know what we're doing yet for our future, whether Mac is going to be the guy or not. It sounds like, Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick are kind of butting heads a little bit, and that Bill Belichick potentially could be on the hot seat because it sounds like Robert Kraft does want Lamar Jackson. You need to figure out what the game plan is moving forward. And so while I can get behind all the things that they've done in free agency, I think that they've done a really good job. I really do. I liked the boosting of the offensive line. Okay. They got some people with, in the interior, and I can get behind all of that. But what's the plan? Who are the cornerstones of your franchise? You don't really have any. So if the goal is to go get Lamar Jackson, do it. Just do it. But I also will have, I mean, maybe I might critique you in a couple of years, or people are going to critique you if you stick with Matt Jones, but at least own up to it. That's my whole thing. When I look at the Flyers, okay, the Flyers have finally gotten rid of their GM because they realized that their GM had no plan moving forward. And I'm not telling you that Bill Belichick should be fired or not, but I'm just simply saying that there has to be a plan moving forward of who he's going to have at the helm of everything. I don't think Matt Jones is the guy. I was really up on him a couple of years ago, and I thought that maybe he was going to be a better quarterback coming out of the draft. I know that not everything is all his fault, but with that said, when you have a guy like Lamar Jackson who has so much great things in his bag, whether it comes to the running game, the passing game also has gotten a lot better for him as well. If he wants to come to New England, you got to do everything that you can to get that, because that just, star players don't just grow on trees. And if you want to be competing with the Jets, if you want to be competing with the Dolphins and even the Buffalo Bills, you need those guys that are going to help you. And that's who it starts with. Yeah, getting these people on the offensive line. Yeah, getting Juju Smith-Schuster as a wide receiver, and Mike Gesicki and Robinson, and all these guys are great, but you're not fixing the main problems that are at stake. And that is my biggest issue that I have with coming away from the press conferences that were delivered yesterday. It really just seems like that Robert Kraft has his own plans, and that Bill Belichick is not on the same page with Robert Kraft. And I think that that's kind of sad. So they're in a really tough spot now because they have to figure out what's going to happen moving forward with the quarterback situation. And that's the main thing. Forget about, the running game with Ramondre Stevenson and with James Robinson and everybody else, that's out there. I don't know. You have to try to figure out who you're gonna try to utilize moving forward as part of your centerpieces. Matthew Judon cannot be your centerpiece. I'm sorry to say, but that's not how the league works. And I love Matthew Judon. I think he's been absolutely incredible. But that's not how it goes. Bill O'Brien coming back, I'm really happy about that, obviously. I think that he will actually be a really good fit, right? With Matt Jones, but the only thing is that like when it comes to like Lamar Jackson, if they were to somehow get him, and of course like we'll talk about it if this does happen potentially, which I don't really see happening. But the one thing is that can he try to keep everybody intact and put everybody in a good position to succeed? I think he can. He has. He's proved it in the past. Okay, Houston didn't work out for him, but having him back, I think, will certainly help the Patriots and the offense because that's what they need. It's not about the defense, right? Even though McCourty retired, Duggar at safety is still really good. And they have a lot of guys, in the backfield that can do a whole lot of damage, right? And I'm really happy about that. But yeah, fluctuant is the word that I would use to describe the Patriots offseason so far. Good things, but also not so good things as well. You're still not dealing with the main problems at hand. And because of that, you're in a tough spot. And that's how it goes. And I have to be honest with you. Okay? And that's how I truly feel. So, but obviously there still is a lot of time left in the offseason and we don't even know what's going to happen in the draft just yet, you know. But as of right now, it's been a back and forth type of an offseason. We're not in the best spot right now. And it's tough because like when you have a dynasty and when you've been so dominant for so long and you had guys, that really helped you, obviously like Tom Brady and with Gronkowski and with Edelman and all those guys, even on the defensive side, the McCourty brothers and all that sort of stuff. It was so easy to just attract fans, and now it's tough because you haven't found. I don't want to say those replacements, but you're not the same team. So Bill just has to literally get his head together and decide what he wants moving forward. And enough with this whole thing about the media not asking good questions yesterday because they did. They asked great questions. The questions about is Bailey Zappi going to be competing with Matt Jones? The whole Lamar Jackson thing, right? Who's going or how is Mike Gesicki going to be utilized in the offensive scheme? Like those are all really good questions, right? Who do you like so far? Like when you're looking at your first pick in the draft, like who are you eyeing first? Those are the types of questions that you should be asking. And I don't understand why people on Twitter and why even people that are on ESPN and on these national networks are criticizing even just the media yesterday for not asking the right questions because they did. There's only so much that you can get out of this dude. He doesn't say a whole lot. So I don't know, man. But look, I think that the offensive line's going to be better. Obviously, Cole Strange coming into his second year, he's going to be better. And I think that they got a lot more depth. And that's great. That's absolutely awesome. I like Slater coming back too. I think Slater could be really good if he's utilized in the slots. And if you put him in the right positions, and I trust Bill O'Brien to do that. And the defensive line, obviously, with Barmore, Godshaw, Wise Jr., Jawan Bentley, and all these guys, I really feel like that this defense is going to be elite again this year. I don't have any problems with what they've done in the offseason as far as free agents go and as far as moves go. The question is, can Bill Belichick make a decision on who he has to go with at the top of the ship? And I ask you that. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section, whether or not you think I'm crazy, if you think that the Patriots need to be going after somebody else in free agency. Should they go after Jerry Jeudy? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that Lamar Jackson would actually be a good fit for this team if the Patriots were to get him, or do you think that that would be really bad? The only concern I have about Lamar Jackson, the only concern, it's not about the money, it's not about the talent. The only thing that I'm a little bit nervous about is the health, and rightfully so, because he hasn't always stayed healthy. including over the last couple of years. The other thing that you also have to realize too is that if you do get Lamar Jackson, okay, some of these guys that you got in free agency, like the guy from Chicago, I'm already blanking out on his name right now. It's probably going to come back to me really soon. Is that these guys, some of these guys aren't so good at run blocking. And you could see like on the stat sheets like last year that the Patriots were like one of the last teams in rush blocking. And that's another reason why that their running backs didn't have as great of a season as they should have last year. And their running game's really good. But if you get Lamar Jackson now, Lamar, one of his things that he's so good at and so lethal at is running with the ball. So I asked those questions. But let me know what you guys think down below. I just wanted to come on here. I didn't necessarily know where this conversation was going to lead and how things were really going to go. But I just wanted to be sure to talk about this team because a lot has been going on. And there's a whole lot that we can dive into. Obviously, we'll be still keeping in touch and talking about this team moving forward as we go into the draft and before summer camp and all that sort of stuff. But I had to be sure to come on here. I knew I was going to come on at some time and just talk about this team, but I could just never figure out because I've been doing so many Sixers games and, I'm getting ready for the Phillies and I've been doing a lot of volleyball games and all that sort of stuff, finished at NFL film. So I figured that today was like the best day to do this. So let me know what your thoughts are down below. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This is Play by Play with JJ. My name is Jason Joseph. We cover 76ers, Patriots, and Phillies content on here. We do live games and we call live games, but we also do podcasts as well. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will catch you all on the next one.